Paralyzed girl, 8, unexpectedly reveals her heartfelt graduation wish to single dad. His response ignites a struggle for dreams amidst harsh realities. Mike watched as Lily sat on the floor surrounded by crayons and scraps of colored paper. Her wheelchair stood propped against the wall, a silent reminder of the daily battles they faced. Just months away from graduating her special education program, she had burst into his workshop earlier that week with a hope that took his breath away. "Dad, I want to tell my story at graduation. I want everyone to know I'm not just the paralyzed girl, I'm Lily." The pride swelling in Mike was quickly swallowed by anxiety, his mind racing with the implications. He was just a mechanic in a small Midwestern town, living paycheck to paycheck, and dreams often felt like luxuries he couldn't afford. As Lily eagerly described her vision, the joy sparking in her eyes became a weight pressing down on his chest. She imagined colorful visuals illustrating her resilience, vibrant enough to make her peers and their parents, like that wealthy family who laughed at her dreams in the diner, understand that her challenges were just a part of a larger story of hope. Did she not see how different their lives were? The stark contrast cut into him like a knife. The laughter of that family echoed in his mind, a reminder of his reality. They didn't know the struggles he faced daily, working overtime at the auto shop, scraping together each dollar for groceries, hoping the car wouldn't break down again. How could he provide for Lily's vision? He hesitated before replying that day, feeling an overwhelming fear that she wanted something he could never give. What if her dreams soared far above his reach? Days passed, tension curling tighter around his heart. Mike found himself working late shifts, fatigue weighing heavy on his bones, while he searched for affordable materials. Every moment spent at the shop felt like a gamble against his fears. Would he let her down? The thought echoed louder than ever as he rummaged through remnants of scrap metal and paint at work, envisioning how he might tailor them to Lily's ideas. A newfound determination flickered within him, but it was often shadowed by uncertainty. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. One night, sitting at the kitchen table, the air between them thick with unspoken fears, Mike reached for a piece of fabric he had found, something colorful to incorporate into
Lily's project. She beamed at his efforts, but his heart sank deeper. Her trust felt like a tightening noose around his fear. What if her story meant uplifting her while simultaneously facing the skepticism of a community that often turned away from those who struggled? How could he communicate that to her? The clock ticked ominously, echoing the rising tension building within him. Would he be able to genuinely support her and confront the judgments lurking behind familiar faces? Mike's thoughts spiraled, conflicted and heavy with pressure. As graduation day approached, they remained ensconced in the chaos of emotions, their future uncertain and haphazardly intertwined with the expectations of a world that often marginalized their experiences. Would love and determination be enough to challenge that? Mike stirred awake, the remnants of a restless night's sleep dragging at his eyelids. Dawn spilled through the kitchen window, light catching on the colorful strings of fabric strewn across the table. Each piece pulsed with potential, a glimmering promise of Lily's dream, but to him they also loomed as symbols of his inadequacies. He took a deep breath, grounding himself. Today was the day. He glanced over at Lily, her sleeping figure suggesting innocence and bravery intertwined. It was a reminder of the fierceness that lay beneath the stillness. She was the embodiment of every dream he had once shelved away, each poignant vision overtaken by a suffocating weight of reality. Today, her hope needed to reach beyond his limitations. As he prepared breakfast, Mike replayed their conversations in his mind, trying to extract a roadmap for the day's challenges. "Why can't we just ask for help?" she had said once, eyes firm upon him. The request had gnawed at him ever since. It wasn't that he didn't admire her audacity to dream big. Rather, it was the fear of vulnerability, of laying bare their fragile lives to a judgmental audience. But didn't he owe her the same courage? He set down 2 plates, oatmeal steaming between them. Lily wheeled into the kitchen, her hair tousled, a grin tugging at her lips. "Dad, are we going to make it awesome today? I can feel it!" Her excitement was infectious, but fear coiled tighter around his chest. "You mean what will happen today at school? We'll try our best, kiddo." This response felt like a half-hearted shield. He knew it. While she ate, Mike grabbed scraps from the table, letting his fingers wander over them. Each piece echoed her words. "I want to tell my story at graduation. I'm not just the paralyzed girl, I'm Lily." The urgency in her voice crushed against his chest. How could he frame her life in a compelling way? Could he even do justice to her narrative? As they prepared to leave for school, he took a detour to her classroom. There was no next step without presenting her ideas to the teacher, who had always understood Lily's potential. The reproachful glances from parents haunted him as he imagined,
admitting they needed support. But realization hit hard. He could not allow his failures to dictate Lily's worth. Standing outside the classroom door, he hesitated, but Lily nudged him forward. "Come on, Dad, we can't hesitate now." The determination in her voice nudged him out of self-imposed paralysis. With a shaky hand, he knocked, and Miss Wilson opened the door. The excitement in her eyes brought a fleeting sense of relief, but he was quickly swept away by his own anxiety. "We have some ideas for the graduation presentation, and I think we might need some help." Her smile never wavered. "Absolutely. Let's create something that really showcases Lily." In that moment, Mike felt the cage of disappointment he wore begin to lift. It felt remarkably light, almost buoyant. Yet, returning home later that evening, he confronted the voice in his head. What if no one else thought her story significant? They had always been seen as different and lesser in others' eyes. Suddenly, he had an idea swirling in a dance of desperation and hope. "Let's show them who you are, Lily," he whispered to himself as he gathered materials after she fell asleep, the chaotic burst of creativity igniting the spark of possibility. That night, for the first time, he allowed the vision to rupture the grip of fear. He would no longer be a silent supporter. He would step into the role of an advocate for his daughter, confronting not just the world, but his own hidden capabilities. As the days whisked by, the focus shifted to preparing for the big day. But as the sun painted the sky a disconcerting orange on the eve of graduation, an unsettling thought flickered like the shadows outside the window. Could they conquer the hurdles of judgment and fear together, or would they face an insurmountable tide of disapproval? The uncertainty spiraled within him, compelling him to confront truths he'd rather avoid. The moment approached, and Mike found himself on the precipice of a decision that would impact not just Lily's graduation presentation, but the entirety of their lives. Could the unveiling of her story truly shift the perceptions of those who judged? Would vulnerability be their strength or their downfall? That question hung heavily in the air, anchoring as he prepared for the moment where they would face the crowd together. Before the dawn broke with the promise of graduation, Mike prepared to dive deeper into the uncertainties of their world, compelled to uncover strength in the very vulnerability he both feared and craved. The day was coming, and with it lay the possibilities and the potential for everything to change forever. The dawn brought with it an uneasy stillness, a silence that seemed to reverberate through the house, amplifying Mike's apprehensions. Standing in front of the bathroom mirror, he stared at his reflection, the weariness on his face speaking volumes.
Today, as Lily's advocate, he faced not just a crowd, but the echoes of every self-doubt that had ever crossed his mind. He could still hear her excited laughter from earlier that week, her dreams a bright melody that contrasted sharply with the weight he felt. Each note resonated as a reminder of the responsibility he felt pressing against his chest. How could he ensure her story carried the power and authenticity it deserved? This wasn't just Lily's moment, it was a defining juncture in their journey. The morning routine unfolded between anxious sips of lukewarm coffee and distant, hopeful glances toward the bedroom where Lily was still getting ready. With each passing minute, his apprehension tightened its grip, feeding off the what-ifs. What if the audience didn't connect? What if they judged? What if the very vulnerability they were exposing became ammunition for criticism? As the time approached, Mike's heart raced. He watched Lily's determination. They had been working late into the nights to prepare her speech, crafting it into something not just personal, but transcendent. Yet, deep within, a shadow loomed, the nagging apprehension that maybe he was an inadequate champion for her heart's desire. "Dad, are you ready?" Lily's melodious voice broke through his mental storm, cutting a line through his faltering resolve. Her wheelchair rolled into the living room, an unstoppable force wrapped in boundless enthusiasm. Dressed in a vibrant dress, adorned with colors that danced against the muted furniture around them, she appeared invincible. "Let's do it, kiddo," he managed to say, forcing a smile that felt like a brittle mask. On the drive to school, the familiar streets blurred into swaths of color. His mind raced with snippets of her speech, each word a woven thread connecting her past to a hopeful future. They reached the school, and the labyrinth of emotions twisted tighter within him. As they approached the entrance, the crowd gathered outside, an ocean of anticipation and judgment. Mike's stomach flipped. Once inside, they moved toward the auditorium, and he could sense his heart matching the thumping rhythm of the crowd. Parents, teachers, and classmates filled the seats, their whispered conversations cascading around them like a rushing current. With every confident push from Lily, he could feel the tension ebbing and flowing through him, a tether of worry and a thread of hope entwined. When they found their seats, a part of Mike yearned to blend into the background, to shield themselves from prying eyes. But another part, the part ignited by Lily's dream, pushed him to stand at her side, to fight through any storm together. Here, amid the thrumming hearts attending the ceremony, judgment seemed inevitable, but so did the power of truth. "Just remember," he whispered, leaning closer, "you have the power to inspire. Speak your truth." Her eyes sparkled with determination. "I will, Dad, I promise." As the event began, the space filled with formal greetings and laughter. Each speaker before Lily hinted at the comfort of familiarity, each speech weighted with tradition. But Mike sensed a shift building, a brooding anticipation, an undercurrent of eagerness washing over the audience. He wondered if they were ready for Lily's story, fully aware that fear and courage could take on new meanings through her words. When her name was called, a tremor of anticipation surged through Mike, electrifying his senses. This was Lily's moment, the very definition of possibility hanging in the air. As she wheeled toward the podium, time seemed suspended. For a brief instant, Mike caught a glimpse of the crowd's faces, the wide eyes betraying curiosity intertwined with expectation. His breath caught in his throat, an instinctively protective instinct igniting within him. With every beat, the world around him blurred into insignificance. He felt the weight of judgment looming, but it was eclipsed by an overwhelming sense of pride. And just as she lifted the microphone, a realization dawned. It wasn't just the audience who would confront vulnerabilities today. It was him, too, accepting the truth that sharing their struggles could create the deepest connection. Would she be able to weave her narrative into something unassailable, or would they both be washed away by the tide of prevailing opinion? The answer lingered, palpable and electric, as she opened her mouth to speak. What would happen next would shape everything.
Words poured from Lily's lips like a river breaking free from confinement, flooding the auditorium with raw emotion. As she spoke, Mike's entire world narrowed to that moment. Each syllable, weighty and deliberate, a perfect reflection of the courage she had mustered through endless practice and unwavering hope. The nerves that had coiled around his chest began to loosen, replaced by an unexpected pride and admiration that surged through him. People in the audience visibly shifted. Intrigued faces turned upwards, engaged. Was it possible that they were finally witnessing something genuine? Lily's struggle, her triumphs, and her unyielding spirit glimmered like bright stars against the smothering blanket of doubt. Here she was, unearthing truths more profound than he ever imagined she could articulate. Yet Mike's own internal dialogue raged. Would her honesty touch hearts or provoke criticism? What if their authenticity became fodder for those who could not fathom the complexity of vulnerability? The tension he felt was unbearable, a contradiction crafting a push and pull within him that swelled with every pause Lily took. "Every day," she said, her voice steadying, "I fight against people's expectations of me. I want to show them that I'm not just my wheelchair, that I'm capable of so much more." Those words pierced through Mike's uncertainties. This was the battle they had often talked about, the one where hope prevailed against ignorance. In the audience, he noticed subtle shifts, heads nodding in agreement, a few parents exchanging glances of understanding. Gratitude bubbled inside him like the caffeine he downed earlier, ready to spill over. Instead of judgment, perhaps the seeds of connection were being cultivated. When Lily spoke about her dream of walking across a stage at a graduation ceremony, his heart cracked open. She didn't just want recognition for her struggles, but a life celebrated for endless possibilities. The quiet wish rippled through Mike's senses, awakening something deep within him, a flicker of inspiration partly dulled by his doubts. After what felt like an eternity, she concluded her speech with a defiant smile. "We can be anything we set our minds to. I refuse to let perceptions define me." There was silence. A moment stretched elegantly across the room, and then an explosion of applause erupted like thunder. Mike had never seen her so alive, so resplendent. A kinetic energy crackled between them, as if the very air turned electric. He glanced at the audience, now filled with varying expressions, ranging from admiration to emotional pride. Even skeptics appear to have shed their armor. As they left the podium behind, Mike felt an unfamiliar warmth inside him, a mix of relief and newfound strength. But the real question lingered. Buried deep within him was the knowledge that they would face more challenges ahead. The uncertainty still loomed large and heavy, but perhaps this moment marked the beginning of a vital transformation. The two of them navigated through the crowd, their journey defined not just by what had just transpired, but also by the future that awaited them. Words of encouragement surrounded them, ripple effects of courage emanating from Lily. In the days to come, he knew they would delve deeper into sharing their story, launching conversations that would not only engage listeners, but also challenge perceptions. Yet this sparked a change in him he hadn't anticipated, not just as a father, but as a man discovering his own voice in the tapestry of their lives. What would he uncover in the process? The responsibility they had taken upon their shoulders would pave the way for platforms he never envisioned. A thought clawed at him. Would he finally shed the protective layers he had built to hide behind? As discussions ignited about future speeches and platforms where they could share their narrative, he felt instinctively torn. Were they ready to confront the harsh realities lurking beyond applause? Would revealing more of themselves only invite a deeper tide of judgment? Mike's heart quickened at the prospect as he contemplated what lay ahead. The moment of truth loomed on the horizon, and he felt the quiet rise of trepidation surging within. But the real question lingered. How far would they both go to unearth the power of their dynamic?
As the days transformed into a whirlwind of post-speech activities, Mike found himself swept along by both encouragement and uncertainty. The echo of applause lingered in his mind, a haunting reminder of the duality of their situation, celebration accompanied by trepidation. Each conversation they engaged in became a thread woven into a larger narrative both were reluctant and excited to explore. It began with small discussions, strategizing how best to tell their story. Yet with every passing conversation, Mike felt an internal shift. He could no longer picture himself only as a supporting character in Lily's journey. The truth wrought itself into his fabric.
He truly wanted to amplify her voice. His needed to resonate alongside hers, powerful and unwavering. Lily's new demand for honesty ignited questions he had buried deep. Were his fears about stepping into the spotlight merely echoes of his own past, or were they legitimate concerns rooted in self-preservation? Mike envisioned the harsh glare of the public eye on them, each reveal slicing through protective layers he had carefully crafted. Yet, Lily had stripped away her defenses, and now it was his turn to confront the shadows lurking within. "You've got to be brave, Dad," Lily told him one afternoon as they sat in her room, her gaze keen and penetrating. "If we don't share our story, then who will? You always tell me that our experiences matter." Her words settled over him like a weight, each syllable pressing him to dig deeper. Here was Lily, an 8-year-old who had already come to terms with her vulnerability. Meanwhile, he, her father, was on the verge of unraveling, hesitant to confront the turmoil of emotions she so effortlessly articulated. He felt the disconnect keenly. It was as if the burgeoning flame of her courage illuminated the corners of his own fears. Weeks rushed by, filled with exchanges at schools and community events. Their story vibrated through the air, stirring reactions from audiences that he had never anticipated. Applause continued to ring affirmatively, yet deeper within him, dark tendrils of doubt clenched at his heart like icy fingers. He often found himself awake at night, grappling with the thought of putting their lives under scrutiny. What would they face? What if they were questioned, doubted? Would exposing their vulnerabilities lead others to judge them rather than offer support? This conundrum fostered sleeplessness, a desperate internal dialogue that begged for resolution. At one event, a disgruntled parent directly challenged their message during the Q&A, asking pointedly, "Why not just accept reality? Why push boundaries? Isn't it easier to fit in?" The query scratched against his resolve, a gash upon his emerging confidence. Before he could respond, Lily spoke up, shining again with clarity and conviction in her young voice. "Because reality doesn't define who we are," she declared, her cheeks flushed with determination. "I want to show the world that there's more beyond what people think." Mike softened, but then felt the burn of his self-doubt reignite. Who was he, if not just a backdrop for Lily's story? He wrestled with the dichotomy of pulling support from her unwavering strength while battling the shadows that threatened to overshadow his identity. As they departed the event, he could scarcely breathe, a silent storm brewing inside him. The juxtaposition of Lily's vibrant hope contrasted severely with his inner turmoil. Did he need to confront the reality of his own insecurities to empower her journey? The question suffocated him as unease entwined around his chest like a vice. Preparing for another talk, he realized the stakes were higher than he'd ever imagined. There would be no turning back. The weight of responsibility loomed, a reckoning. And yet the question remained, could he evolve alongside Lily, or would he just remain forever a shadow? The moment of truth was unyieldingly close, beckoning with the promise of clarity or chaos, pushing him to decide what role he would choose to play in their unfolding legacy. What would happen when the layers finally peeled back? Would he emerge stronger than ever, or would the exposure reveal a man incapable of stepping into the light? The days rolled onwards, each one blending into the next, yet for Mike they felt like a countdown, an ominous ticking that grew louder with each passing hour. The challenges were multiplying, as were the demands for vulnerability and openness that weighed heavily on his shoulders. The sensation of being at a crossroads intensified. He respected Lily's bravery, but could he muster the same fortitude? One evening, he found himself grappling with an unseen fear as he paced the living room. The sunlight was dimming, casting shadows that seemed to mimic his internal conflict. Deciding to ground himself in a conversation, he approached Lily, who was articulately explaining the final touches of her graduation wish to him. "I want to show everyone my projects, Dad," she said, her voice bright with excitement. "I've been working so hard. It's not just about graduation, it's my way of saying, look, I can do this." A rush of warmth flooded through Mike. Her determination was a beacon. "You've been incredible, Lily," he replied, trying to mask the trembling within. But beneath the pride lurked a storm of dread. What if his voice faltered when she needed him most? What if his presence overshadowed her light instead of augmenting it? That night, contemplative silence fell over him. He wanted to be her champion, yet fears of inadequacy echoed like a relentless mantra. Was he prepared to walk alongside her, to unveil his authentic self? He eyed the framed photos of Lily's milestones on the walls, a physical reminder of their journey together. Each snapshot prompted reflection, moments captured in time, vibrant reminders of joy and achievement that transcended his anxieties. The next full moon brought them another opportunity to share their story, and the audience was expectant. Standing backstage with Lily, he could hear murmurs drift through the air. The stage lights beckoned. Anxiety clawed at him, whispering doubts that threatened to engulf both of them. As they took the stage, he felt compelled to speak first. His throat tightened, but the warm gaze of Lily steadied him. "Hello," he began, voice slightly wavering. "We've faced many obstacles, but together we've found purpose." He stole a glance at his daughter, who was nodding, her small hands gripping the podium with confidence. The words cascaded from him, a mixture of fear, relief, and genuine emotion. He couldn't deny that this was a transformative moment. A thought flickered, brief yet bold. By sharing his vulnerabilities, he could dismantle the barriers he had built. Yet, as he looked into the audience, he spotted an unyielding stare from a familiar face, a mother from the school, skeptical and critical. The shadows crept back, igniting old instincts of self-defense. "Why are you really here?" she seemed to challenge, her presence heavy and pressing. Just as he faltered, Lily leaned closer, her voice laced with the authority of experience. "We're here to make a difference," she asserted. "We want to show that it's okay to be scared, but you can turn that fear into something beautiful." Her words wrapped around him like an embrace. In that fleeting moment, something within him snapped into focus. He realized that the room was more than just an audience of critics. It was a sanctuary for stories and emotions. Could he face this woman and her questions? Could he evolve before her very eyes? As they concluded, applause erupted, but it wasn't the validation that struck him most. It was the understanding that vulnerability could be a strength. Yet, even as he stood tall beside Lily, a breath of uncertainty lingered. He could feel it, the need to confront not only external challenges, but the internal struggles that had held him captive for too long. When they stepped off the stage, a sense of achievement swirled, with an unsettling realization that this was just the beginning. There were more layers to unpeel, deeper fears to confront. As questions bubbled in his mind, he quietly resolved to face them. The time had come to dig beyond the surface, to confront the parts of himself that had stayed hidden for years. What would manifest from this inner journey? Would he discover a strength powerful enough to fortify both their futures, or would the reflections of his past stigmatize their shared mission? The climax of revelation loomed ominously ahead, challenging Mike to grow in unprecedented ways. The stage had transformed Mike, but the echoes of applause faded quickly into a deepening silence that enveloped him as they stepped backstage.
It wasn't just the cheers that lingered, it was the weight of unaddressed fears that loomed large in his mind. Lily had inspired him to share his vulnerabilities, but now he recognized that this journey was merely beginning, an entry point into the complexity of his own psyche. In the days following their return from the stage, Mike became increasingly aware of the barriers he had constructed around himself. They were defenses against failure, but they also kept him isolated. Memories haunted him of past failures, moments when he allowed fear to dictate his actions, preventing him from reaching out or speaking up when he needed to the most. One afternoon, while sitting at the dining room table with his laptop open, he hesitated. A blank document stared back at him, challenging him to name his feelings, to articulate the fears that had silenced him for too long. He thought of Lily once more, her face radiant with determination. Her willingness to confront her own challenges was the catalyst he never knew he needed.
Taking a deep breath, Mike began to write. His fingers moved across the keyboard as he bared his soul, detailing the paths he had walked, the stumbles he had endured, and the shadows he had fought against. Each word felt like an act of liberation, a small rebellion against the fear that had held him captive. In acknowledging his vulnerabilities, he discovered a narrative he could finally call his own, one in which failure didn't define him, but instead was a part of a more expansive story of growth and resilience. As he reflected on his words, Mike realized that he had buried himself in self-doubt long enough. It was in sharing his story, in the vulnerability he exhibited before the audience, that he began to reclaim his voice. What if he could turn this newfound understanding into a tangible project? Perhaps a platform, a blog, or even a series of speaking events dedicated to sharing personal journeys of overcoming adversity. He felt a surge of determination, transforming doubt into a vision. However, as the idea solidified, it was soon accompanied by an undeniable wave of anxiety. Could he take this leap? Was the world ready for his unfiltered self? Flashes of doubt resurfaced, shaking hands, stuttering words, fear of judgment. Yet he fought against that instinctive retreat. This time, he was not just voicing his fears, he was embracing them as part of the process. To further push his limits, he called a meeting with a small group of close friends he had known since childhood. Their presence felt like an anchor, and he disclosed his aspirations. As he shared his vision and explained his desire to foster conversations around vulnerability and strength, their reactions varied. Some were supportive, others skeptical. But it was the skepticism that stung most, reigniting his old fears. "Are you really equipped to lead this?" one friend challenged, glaringly doubtful. He felt the heat of embarrassment wash over him, but instead of shying away, he took a breath. "But what if I am?" With that simple question, he confronted not just his friends, but the lingering voice in his head that echoed his self-doubt. In that moment, Mike glimpsed the potential of his own power. It lay in his willingness to confront rather than cower. The conversation shifted thereafter as ideas bounced around the table. What emerged was a collaborative initiative where they could explore stories of resilience, a means to not only help others, but also to further his own development. Yet it left him pondering. What next steps would he take, and could he fully commit to shedding the armor he had worn for so long? The crossroads had morphed into a narrow path forward. The challenge now loomed larger than ever, a looming confrontation with his self-imposed limitations. Was he truly ready for this new chapter, or would fear hold him back once more? He could feel the answer roll like a wave inside him, prompting a decision that was on the brink of formulation. The question hung in the air, heavy yet exhilarating. Was it time to unveil the fully authentic version of himself to the world, no matter the challenges that lay ahead? In the days that followed the conversation with his friends, Mike wrestled with a growing urge to take action. He spent restless nights pondering over what his next steps should be, flipping through pages of notes filled with ideas that tugged at his heart and mind. He often visualized the collaborative initiative he'd discussed, each scenario unfolding between his hopes and fears, propelling him forward, yet simultaneously gripping him with anxiety.
Each day became a battle between the fierce voice of his aspirations and the tightly coiled doubt that wound around his thoughts. In a moment of clarity one evening, he decided to push past the hesitations. He booted up his laptop, not to watch another video or scroll through social media, but to begin outlining his ideas for a blog. This was a significant step, the threshold of his commitment to authenticity. He envisioned a space where people could share their stories, an exchange of raw narratives that would inspire and uplift one another. As he typed, his fingers glided over the keyboard, navigating between fears and triumphs. He realized he wanted to focus on the power of vulnerability. He wanted to dismantle the facade of perfection that often stifled growth, and he needed to share his own battles to cultivate that environment. But with each paragraph, he confronted the familiar echo of his self-doubt. Could he truly create something meaningful? That evening, his internal skepticism was interrupted by an unexpected call from Lily. They hadn't spoken about his aspirations much since their return from the stage. Hearing her voice, filled with warmth and encouragement, provided a solace he hadn't anticipated. As they caught up, he shared his vision, laying bare his fears and ambitions like he never had before. To his surprise, Lily responded with unwavering support, igniting embers of confidence within him. "Mike, your story is powerful. People need to hear it. You need to share it," she urged. Her enthusiasm was infectious, leaving him exhilarated yet anxious about the prospect of turning his vision into reality. Could he really dive into this new venture? What if he failed again? But Lily's voice reassured him, and for the first time, he felt the possibility of action far outweighing that familiar fear. Determined, Mike set a plan in motion. He began assembling a calendar filled with preparation tasks, researching platforms, developing content ideas, and mapping out social media strategies for outreach. Yet in the back of his mind, self-doubt loomed, asking questions that interrogated his resolve. What if no one reads it? What if his experiences weren't profound enough? To confront those fears, he wrote a personal mission statement, pinpointing his purpose, not just to share his journey, but to invite others into a collective exploration of vulnerability. As he penned each word, the act lightened his burden. This wasn't merely about him, it was about building a community that thrived on shared strength and experience. It became a tether, pulling him closer to the authentic version of himself he had dreamed of unveiling. Days turned into weeks as he poured himself into this project, cautious yet excited. Each day of creation was a small triumph, pushing him further through the veil of uncertainty. But with that progress came new challenges. The first stumbling block came when he decided to record his first video blog. As he stared at the camera lens, his heart raced. Would he be enough? The dread of vulnerability flooded him like a storm, cascading into a million what-ifs. That's when he remembered the faces of those who had encouraged him, the stories they carried within them, stories worth sharing. With trembling hands, he pressed record and began speaking. Each word felt raw yet liberating, like shedding layers of skin. As he spoke, he gained momentum, embracing each flicker of doubt that threatened to silence him. Yet when he finished and hit stop, he was struck by a realization. Had he genuinely done it? Had he truly embarked on a journey beyond his fears? Or was he always going to retreat to comfortable silence? The truth lurked close enough for him to sense it, and the question demanded an answer that would shape his next steps. Mike held his breath, staring at the video he had recorded. It loomed before him, a representation of both courage and a confrontation with his greatest fears. Could he hit upload? The answer beckoned with an urgent intensity as he weighed his next decision. Was he ready to share his vulnerability with the world, risking everything in the pursuit of authentic connection? The silence enveloped Mike in a thick haze. He gazed at the screen, heart pounding, a battleground of thoughts fighting for clarity. Each second felt like an eternity as the cursor blinked, a taunting reminder of his indecision. The weight of vulnerability pressed down like a leaden cloak, and he struggled to discern whether this moment would propel him forward or tether him to the past. His mind spiraled through a series of scenarios, each darker than the last. Fears flashed like lightning. What if his video was met with indifference? Or worse, what if the very people he hoped to inspire ridiculed him instead? Yet amidst the chaos, a quieter voice emerged, steadying his breath. This voice dared to challenge his doubts, whispering that authenticity carries its own strength. He leaned back in his chair, forcing himself to recollect moments from his life when he experienced true connection. Spontaneous conversations with old friends where laughter transcended insecurities. Those late-night discussions with Lily that sparked insights. What if openness could nurture similar moments for others? The vision of those connections enveloped him, and he felt a subtle shift within. As clarity washed over him, Mike sat forward again, hands poised over the keyboard. He opened the video editing software.
Perhaps the upload was not merely a show of personal courage. It was an invitation for others to peel back their own layers of perfection. For himself, the process had illuminated a new path, one where mistakes and triumphs intermingled seamlessly. Finding resolution, he clicked upload, heart racing as he watched the status bar fill. The anticipation surged within him, a force of both fear and incredible relief. A wave of uncertainty swept through, but for the first time, he felt empowered. The act of sharing had transformed the video from something paralyzing to an opportunity for connection. Once uploaded, Mike saved the link and hesitated to share it. His social media platforms felt intimidating. As he stared at the screen, the tension of waiting set in. There would be reactions, judgment and praise alike, but on the other side of that uncertainty lay the chance to make an impact. It wasn't long before the first notifications flickered. Comments rolled in, each one a new message inviting him to acknowledge both his presence and vulnerability. Some were unexpected. A friend from college spoke about her struggle with anxiety, thanking him for inspiring her to express her struggles. Those words radiated warmth, breaking through the electronic screen with a genuine connection. But the next comment struck a nerve. A stranger's harsh critique cut through the warmth like frost on a window. "This isn't inspiring, it's just self-indulgent whining." In that moment, Mike felt the wave of insecurity threaten to drag him back down. The familiar grasp of doubt nearly suffocated him. Yet he fought against it, determined not to be ensnared by a single dissenting opinion. He recalled Lily's voice, her unwavering belief in him. As the day wore on, he chose to respond, but not to the critic. Instead, he focused on those who reached out with kindness and shared their own experiences. Through dialogue, he found strength in numbers. His message resonated with many, and the willingness to show vulnerability had sparked a small ripple of courage. Days passed, and Mike continued to create content, pouring his experiences into written posts and videos. The more he shared, the more he realized how his narratives were not just about him. They were a launchpad for others to embrace their own struggles. But beneath his outward commitment to this journey lay unresolved questions. Would he be able to nurture this growing community without losing himself in emotional attachments? And as he prepared for his next video, a new challenge awaited him. The tragic news of a local event involving a family he had known closely stirred something deep within. Could stepping into that painful reality provide him with the courage to be even more vulnerable? The time had come for him to confront not just his fears, but also the stark realities of life on a deeper level. Mike stood on the precipice of both risk and growth, ready to explore the juxtaposition of joy and grief that life often presents. He felt the familiar pulse of anxiety, but also a burgeoning excitement coursing through him. The question remained, though, could he bridge that gap and share the essence of humanity itself in his next narrative? The day had arrived, the air heavy with promise and dread. Mike stood in front of his camera, knowing that this video would reach deeper than any of his previous ones. It wasn't merely about sharing his heart anymore. It was a chance to resonate intimately with others grappling with complexities of joy and sorrow, life and loss. The recent tragedy had unsettled him profoundly, but beneath that he sensed a profound need for connection, one that beckoned him to articulate both the hollow echoes of grief and the flickering lights of hope. Lily had inspired him to step beyond his self-imposed limitations. Now, he needed to honor that encouragement by vulnerably addressing this painful narrative. With shaky breaths and shakier hands, he pressed the record button, the red light blinking like a heartbeat. "Hello," he began, his voice steady yet laced with emotion. "Today, I want to talk about something that's deeply affecting me, the tragic loss of a family within our community." His words felt both heavy and liberating, releasing the grief that had accumulated since hearing the news. Life is unpredictable, often harsh, and reminds us of the fleeting nature of our time together. This event has reaffirmed for me the importance of sharing our experiences. He paused, allowing the moment to sink in, the weight of what he was saying permeating the air. In the face of such loss, I've questioned how we can transform pain into purpose. How do we find the strength to connect with one another amidst this turmoil? As he spoke, he became increasingly aware of the emotional narrative pulsing through him, an authentic representation of both vulnerability and resilience. He detailed the memories he shared with the affected family, their laughter at community events, the kindness they had shown him, the warmth they radiated. By allowing himself to grieve openly on camera, he was not just sharing his sorrow, he was also extending an invitation to others to acknowledge their own feelings, whether they were grieving or celebrating the people in their lives. The tears flowed freely as he recounted their contributions to the community. We often forget to celebrate what we have in the moment. So I challenge anyone listening to reach out. Call that friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Tell someone you care. Share your love while there's still time. His heart swelled as he spoke, the message resonating deeply within him. Mike was transforming his own grief into a shared experience that could light the way for others. When he finished recording, a sense of relief washed over him like a gentle tide. He knew he had laid bare not just his own thoughts, but had also given voice to the collective sorrow experienced by many. As he uploaded the video, a tingling anticipation fluttered in his stomach. Connecting over mutual experiences would ultimately foster healing. This truth had never been clearer to him. Almost immediately, the response from viewers began to pour in, each message helping to alleviate the weighted silence surrounding loss. People thanked him for expressing what they were struggling to articulate. Some shared their own heart-wrenching stories of loss, while others offered tales of love and connection that emerged from similar tragedies. Mike felt his fears transform into empathy. This was not merely about him or even the tragedy. It was about a shared human experience deeper than he had ever imagined. Weeks unfolded as he nurtured these newfound connections, carefully curating a space where vulnerability brought light into the shadows. He scheduled live streams to discuss the impact of grief, emotions, and the importance of community. Placeholder posts filled his social media feed, emphasizing connection while shouting out those who had shared their stories. From this effort, a profound growth emerged in Mike. No longer just the supportive father, he had become an advocate for emotions and shared narratives, offering strength to those who felt alone in their struggles. For every message that came in, Mike felt a deeper sense of purpose. His confidence flourished, solidifying his newfound identity as not only someone who had shared a story, but one who had helped forge a community out of collective pain and joy. Even while he reveled in newfound recognition, doubt crept in. Could he sustain this? Was it enough? One evening, as he prepared to sleep, Mike reflected on all he had accomplished since that graduation day. The stark contrast from feeling inadequate to being recognized as an engaging voice for healing was stunning. The path of vulnerability had revealed strengths he hadn't realized he possessed. A turning point unfolded when he received an invitation to speak at a community event.
They wanted him to share his journey of personal growth and the transition from fear to advocacy. Standing before a crowd, he realized he had crossed an immense threshold. He was no longer just supporting Lily's dreams, but living into his own. As he delivered his speech, Mike stood tall, the weight of anxiety replaced with a soaring conviction. He shared the vivid journey of vulnerability, creative exploration, and community building that had emerged from raw, honest experiences. The room was filled with nods of affirmation, whispers of understanding. He manifested a conviction that rippled beyond him, touching those present. Stepping off the stage, he received applause that thundered against his heart, a rapturous affirmation of his journey. Watching faces glow with recognition, he realized that this was his transformation, no longer a mere mechanic living paycheck to paycheck, but a catalyst for communion among souls. In his life's tapestry, shadows had transformed into vibrant threads, each woven through shared experiences and courage. Mike was no longer just Lily's dad, nor merely a man wrestling with fears. He had become a beacon of hope, proving that transformation is an act nested deeply within vulnerability, ready
to conquer adversity. The journey had not been without its storms, yet the evolution found in confronting those fears forged something undeniable. It was a testament to the power of speaking out, allowing the world to witness the inherent strength derived from both vulnerability and triumph. Each narrative exchanged held the potential to spark new beginnings, proof that together, unassured and courageous, they could break through barriers once solid and unyielding. Now, as the road unfolded ahead, Mike felt ready for whatever lay in wait. Whether joyous or sorrowful experiences, he knew that he could face them with a profound sense of purpose, anchored in vulnerability and fueled by the connections he had fostered. This was not just a conclusion. This was a new chapter, an ongoing adventure of self-discovery rooted in genuine connection, where every shared story would inspire hidden dreams to rise aloft as flames of resilience. Now is the moment to show your support for these heartfelt stories. You need to subscribe now to stay updated on our journey of transformation. Leave a like to feed the algorithm. Your support truly matters. Comment your thoughts, reactions, and theories about this inspiring conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how overcoming personal battles can open the floodgates of possibilities.